Growing up poor, what was the simple thing you saw at someone's house that confirmed they were rich? They had a pretty big room with a long dining table they apparently only use for Thanksgiving/Christmas. Like damn, that room was bigger than a good portion of my house and it's just wasted most of the year. Was good for hide and seek though. I cleaned houses for rich people and some of them were crazy. Dining room, eating room, living room, family room, den, bar area, game room, office, playroom. Half of these houses also had a casita, usually unconnected but sometimes connected and considered a guest suite, with a bedroom/office and a bathroom. Neat, but I don't know how people use all this space. Using it isn't a problem. More money allows you to have many more social events. Cleaning and maintaining it is a problem though, which means people outsource. I worked in a house for a few weeks, where the dining room was set for full service of 12. Never used. One of the living rooms had a baby grand piano that was custom painted to match the paint of the room. In the middle of the floor was a basket on its side with hay coming out of it with a violin, a bottle of wine and 2 goblets staged. One of the bathrooms had a bottle of Dom with 2 goblets sitting on the jacuzzi, staged with towels and bathrobes just so. The best was one of the living rooms had a huge mural done, and they hired someone to brush the carpet and patterns to complement the mural. Of course nobody was allowed in most of these rooms once they were set. I felt bad for the kid. Every day when he came home from school, the housekeeper would pull out a folding chair that he was allowed to sit on in his kitchen to have his after school snack. Then he was allowed to watch TV in one of the TV rooms, but he was not allowed to sit on the couch, so he sat on the floor. Now that I think of it, his room was also staged in a sports theme, but he wasn't really allowed to use it. Everything had OB just so. Talk about being a prisoner of your own home. My gran was a cleaner and I'd go with her to houses. I remember one house had a conservatory with some statues of horses on podiums. But then through double doors there was a tiny living room with a small couch and TV. Something I always clocked in these houses was downstairs was immaculately decorated, but the upstairs rooms were just nothing. As I'm writing this, it's probably because the children lived at school, but still WTF. Each person getting their own bathroom or bedroom. Sharing a bedroom with an older brother and a younger sister sucked. Edit. Both of my brothers are in their 20s and my sister, almost 10 years younger than me, isn't even a teenager yet. Please. Stop making porn jokes about a family member of mine that's literally a child. One was enough, and already inappropriate. I was saying it wasn't ideal to share a room with them, but better than all of you people who probably don't realize how much abuse actually goes on in the porn industry, especially the ones where they have a little clip beforehand of the person saying they wanted it, which sounds oddly suspicious to me. Yes, my sister had wildly different requirements for sleeping conditions to me, and since she was older she would always get her way. A friend of mine had her own phone line. This was late 80s, early 90s. Yes, a second phone line was for the rich, and soaps in the shape of shells and seahorses. In a guest bathroom, soaps like shells and seahorses that were only for guests. The family had soap in the shape of lobsters and caviar. Mine was a refrigerator that dispensed ice and water through the door. I wanted that so bad. I thought it was magic, and it must cost a fortune. I still don't have one. You still don't have a fridge? Nope. Just the handy old ice box. The ice wagon swings by once a month to refill her. Kids who had their own bedroom. And also a playroom. The idea of the separate bedroom and playroom, just for the kid, was baffling to me. Just an only child in a middle-class home. I read this to the tune of in a West End town in a dead-end world. A hot tub and built-in swimming pool. Built-in swimming pool is more impressive. Think about it, you'd only buy a hot tub if you were really rich. Hot tubs are more affordable than getting a new car instead of a used one. They had HBO. It was about 1980. My friends all had cable. I was always stunned at how much there was to watch when our TV would only get 5 to 6 channels. I had 3, and if the president was on, your night was shot. We're gonna miss Flipper. It legit blew my mind that a friend of mine had a maid. Like, a full-time maid or just once a month or week. Wouldn't matter any maid at all. Some of my friends worked as maids. I worked for a cleaning company for a while, mostly hospitals and banks. But I did also have to go by once a month to this house that like 6 20-year-olds rented out and just chipped in to get our service. I never asked how much it was, but considering my pay, I bet it's more affordable than people would guess. A professional cleaner is probably at least twice as fast as an average person at cleaning. So assuming you work at somewhere where you can easily pick up more hours, it would almost always be cheaper to hire a maid than do it yourself. A pantry. I'm confused. Do you mean like a walk-in pantry? Cause to me any cupboard or shelving thing that solely stores food is a pantry. I guess I should have been more specific. Not just a kitchen cupboard, but like a walk-in pantry where you keep extra food etc. I remember the first time I saw one of those, and it was amazing that someone could donate much food, much less own food at all lol. Yeah, walk-in pantries still amaze me. Plus it seems like too much space. I'd just be snacking all day if I had enough food to fill that kind of space. Name brand cereal. They had Trix. We had Kaboom. They had Cocoa Puffs. We had Choco Balls. Okay, but Berry Colossal Crunch is so much better than Captain Crunch. Them rich kids don't know what they're missing. I agree with this 100%. Berry Colossal Crunch is my favorite and I eat it every day. I hate Captain Crunch. We had to wait for the cleaning lady to finish in order to play in his basement. A different friend has a 4-story house in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in my city, complete with a balcony and designated music room. Meanwhile I was tallying how much money I had left on my food stamps. Damn, a 4-story house, it's got no right being the size of a hotel. Having a finished basement. Absolutely this. I grew up most of my childhood in a very nice trailer home. A basement was something that rich folk had. A finished basement was the height of luxury, as John Mulaney would say. Damn it, can't not hear it in his voice now. I was impressed with indoor plumbing and electricity. I literally grew up in a log cabin in Alaska and we hauled water from the pump by the river. I'd never seen a TV either. I lost my mind the first time I saw a flushing toilet when we flew to visit my grandmother in the lower 48. My mum said I stood there flushing the toilet over and over trying to figure out where the water was coming from / going to. I developed this irrational fear that if I used flushing toilets I would get sucked down. So I'd use it, flush and then run hell for leather from it. I was 4. What year was this? Just curious. My grandma talks about not having indoor plumbing for a portion of her childhood while living on a farm. But I'm guessing your story is quite a bit more recent. 1980 to 1984. My parents were up there to work on the pipelines, and then the whole industry took a hit and we were dirt poor. I remember being hungry a lot. Having a bathtub and a separate shower in the master bathroom. This still seems rich to me. Shut him 36, and we just refinished a house where I have a bathroom in my bedroom for the first time in my life. And I've got central air, it's like I'm an official adult. Stairs, meaning they had more than a single story house. We were pretty fancy with our double wide though. I felt the same way when I was a kid. Having a basement or a second floor was something I always wished we had. Hot dog and hamburger buns. If you weren't using the regular bread, you were rich to me. A piano. Depends on what type of piano. You can find lots of pianos online for free. All you have to do is go collect it. However, if it's a grand piano, yeah, they were wealthy. If not for the cost of the piano, just for the space it takes up alone, you need a pretty big place. My family got by okay, but certain food products that I saw commercials for on TV that people have always struck me as bourgeoisie. Sunny D, Gushers, Go-Gurt. My house was all generic brand and water-based beverages. Any high-end sweetened cereal. I would have sleepovers at my friend's house and open her pantry door as we walked into the house to see what options I had. We had a good time hanging out, but fun cereal was a bonus. Furniture in every room. I thought a table dedicated to eating was the height of fancy living. My mom got creative with this one. She was really good at living poor. She got plastic patio furniture, table, and chairs on sale, a folding screen, a cheap lawn chair, and some of those egg crate style layers of padding. She'd rent a 1-bedroom apartment and put little kid me in the actual bedroom to keep my toys/mess contained. Whatever dining nook the apartment had became mom's bedroom with the lawn chair and padding as her bed and the screen for a little privacy. The plastic table and chairs filled one side of the living room, which allowed little kid me to watch cartoons on the rabbit ear antenna TV while eating breakfast and prevented giant food messes whenever the cartoon hypnosis set in. I hope things are better for you both now. I mean, it sounds like she made a pretty good job of it, but it still must have been hard. Thank you for the well wishes. She was the best mom she could be with zero training, and even taught me how to read before I started school. Unfortunately, mom died about 10 years ago of, technically, untreated cancer. In reality, it was the only in America combo. Lost her health insurance when she got too ill/injured to work. Then she had a pre-existing condition so couldn't get anything like affordable insurance. And she wasn't willing to bankrupt the family just to hold on to life. Bonus badgered points. Mom was Jehovah's Witness. Type no matter how poor/hungry we were. And wouldn't accept the blood transfusion that would have saved her life once we finally did get her onto her husband's insurance. It's scary. Cults that are totally legal and destroying lives. Wow, wasn't expecting that roller coaster ride of a story. Thanks for sharing. It's a shame how America seems to duck people. I live in the UK and can't even imagine not having free healthcare. Hope things are better for you then. Vacation pictures. This one was it for me, especially if they were framed and hung or displayed. Color TV. We had a TV, it was just a 12 or 14 inch black and white. This was in the 80s, and it was not uncommon for supper to come from behind the grocery store. I remember in the 70s how rich you were if you had a color TV. I think there was one in the town I grew up in before I moved away in 4th grade. Plus, when one of my friends had said he'd seen, not actually had one, just seen, a television with a remote control, all my friends, and I thought he was the biggest liar on the face of the earth. My single mother prioritized before she met my stepfather, so I got to watch Star Trek and Solid Gold in color. Then when she got married in 1980, the first thing they got was cable plus HBO. We didn't have a phone, but by God we had TV. Solid Gold dancers. Having to ask where is the trash can? If it's not under the sink, it's in the wrong place. I think they are talking about when there's a dedicated cabinet face that pulls straight out and has a container for trash. Even higher end is when it has a built-in trash compactor. Having their own room. I've been told that my grandmother didn't have her own bed till she divorced my grandfather. That would be the hardest part to get used to. Wow. A room with a bar, HBO, Showtime, and a gaming console. Had a few friends and a cousin that had Sega Gen, Northeasts, Super Northeasts, Gamma Boy, and Dreamcast, all at once. Spoiled duckers. Ah, the Dreamcast. Right. Steak knives. Knives dedicated to the purpose of slicing steak, apart from the regular knives. What do you consider a regular knife? We had butter knives and steak knives. One was dull and mostly for spreading, and one was for everything else. We were super poor though, lol. Oh, I too had butter knives and sharp knives for meat and shut. But one day I was at a friend's house and we were eating steak. There was butter knives on the table, so I supposed we would cut the steak with them because it was tender or something. No sir, his mom arrived at the table with a set of silver knives that they would use only for steak, like nothing else but steak. Sorry for not being super clear, aha. By regular knives I meant butter knives and steak knives that are not only used to cut steak, but everything that requires something less inoffensive than a butter knife. Central air conditioning. Goddamn. The amount of summers I spent as a kid melting into a puddle is too damn high. That's how I got into staying up all night and sleeping all day. It was too ducking hot to sleep. I still keep that schedule in my old age. My dad had central air and a finished basement with a waterbed. Weekends there, I slept like a baby. That's how I got into staying up all night and sleeping all day. It's usually hotter during the day, though. They probably slept during the day because it was too hot to move any muscle. But during nighttime it was cool enough to be up. A separate family room, usually with a fireplace. We just had one living room. The fact that they had a house. A dishwasher. A built-in dishwasher. More food than they could possibly eat. Almost like planned acceptable waste so that they could have whatever they want, whenever they want. I loved going over to friends' houses when I was a kid because a lot of my friends were a part of families much better off than mine. They always had stuff to eat/drink whenever you wanted. Want a Coke? Here. Want some popcorn? Have at it. Want me to order a pizza for you guys? Hell yeah. Meanwhile at my house it was like, if you're hungry have some crackers. But if we're gonna eat soon you can't put any peanut butter or cheese on them. Each kid had their own room. There were 5 brothers. I lived in a travel trailer with my parents for the first decade or so of my life. So when I went to my friend's house in a rich neighborhood it blew my ducking mind. For some reason the remote controlled ceiling fan is what impressed me the most. We recently were able to buy a house and it came with one of these. It's still like magic to me. Trash compactor. It was 1978 and we had moved to the US from the Philippines. Now that I think of it, I don't think I've ever seen a home trash compactor or a garbage disposal in real life. Just in movies. Are they still a real thing? Had a trash compactor in my house for a while. Only used for inorganic trash. The thing was somewhere around 25 years old and made the most horrifying screech every time we used it. Sounded like it was full of rabid badgers being slowly crushed into hate poo. It also used special heavily waxed paper bags, which would tear 1/3 of the time. That being said, a cube of trash about the size of a mini fridge and the same weight saved a lot of space for trash pickup. When I was young, we were near dirt poor. Then it got better and the kitchen was redone. It had nice appliances including a garbage compactor. Although now I saw water from the refrigerator door. Too long ago for that. It crushed a week's worth of trash into a very dense round bale. Maybe a bit bigger than mini fridge cube size. The bag was very thick plastic. We never had one tier. Weighed about 50 pounds I guess. My mom was allowed to take it to work, so we didn't have to pay for trash service. It did make some loud noises when garbage jars and stuff were flattened. But we always seemed to enjoy the noise. We had garbage disposal also, and do in our current house. But it's only for light use. But it's better than not having one. A video game system. Any video game system. A dishwasher, a garage. If you had one of the above, you were rich. If you had all 3, you must have been, like, a gazillionaire. A garagio. You call it a garage. Mr. Fancy. It's a car hole. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want more videos don't forget to like and subscribe. You are helping me a lot. Thanks again.